I'm back with an update. So, the very last video that I posted was talking about my plans for Bali, travel journaling in Bali, and I'm sure that you're unsurprised to learn that things did not go as planned. I mean, even I expected that, so that's totally fine, but I am here with an update and I'm going to do a little journal with me. I mean, not little, it's probably going to be quite a long video, but so initially I said, actually, this was kind of new. At the very last second, I wanted to bring, I don't know why, but I was getting really anxious and really worked up, and I felt the need to really journal. And so that trickled into like my need to bring this because I thought I would need extra room to write. Anyway, I didn't use it at all, but I wanted to say that I did not journal at all in the way that I thought. So I brought these pages that I ripped out from my daily pocket moleskin because I thought this would be a great way to jot down some notes about like what I did. I did not like this, and I think that's a me problem because I realized that I don't have the ability, the skill of brevity, of just writing quick notes. I think when I tend to like journal or write things down, I tend to go into like too much detail, and I think that stems from the fear of not including everything, like I'm missing out on something, like I don't want to forget anything. And so I have a really like I don't trust my memory. And so when I do write, I tend to overwrite. And so instead of just doing dot points, I definitely went into like way more detail. I think I only did this once. I think that was on the plane. And so it's not like I didn't have the time to write in here. It was more that I didn't feel the need to. I didn't feel the urge to. And I realized that photos definitely do jog my memory more than anything. And I really should just be taking a photo of something I don't want to forget, because I love digital because it captures the timestamp, it captures everything about it. And also, like, something that I don't use enough, I'm looking for my phone, is that you can add, on iPhone at least, you can add a note to a photo. So I'm just going to try to pull up a photo here. If I swipe up, there is an option to add a caption. And so I've got the date, I've got the timestamp, I can add, a little detail about it here. Walking to La Brisa Sunday market. So I feel like this, because I had my phone on me and it was just so easy to, like, if I was in the taxi, to write down something digitally rather than taking this out and trying to write while the car was moving. I just felt like this was easier. And so, I mean, this was a feature that I forgot about, didn't really utilize until, towards the end of the trip. And so I've got all these details here. And yeah, I feel like I learnt a lot about myself in terms of what I like when travel journaling. And so I also really used Notion rather than this. Quite a lot more than I thought, because I just found it, again, so much easier to just pull out my phone. And this is a person, as in me, I struggle with digital journaling because of the effort of like opening up the iPad and opening up the app. Like, just pulling out the paper is easier, but that is more at home. And I felt like while I was traveling, it was actually easier for me to so I have a page in Notion called Field Notes, and what I do is I've created a template just called Today, and if I tap on that, then it automatically creates a new page. It's all like pre-filled with the date, and all I need to do is just press new. It creates, like, it's at now on Notion, and what that does is create the timestamp that you've created it. And so I found that really easy for just jotting down points. And so I was surprised at myself for finding this really easy. Let me see if I can find a past, I think August 7th, I guess. So for example, 5:10 p.m. We've been spending afternoons by the pool and it's been glorious. I worked on some travel journal spreads and reading a lot while Kevin finished working, so relaxed and content. And that was on August 7th. And so I found that so much easier than writing it down here. And I didn't feel like I was being silly by writing so much because just typing on the phone was like so fast and so easy. Anyway, so that was my revelation when it came to travel journaling, that I tend to use my phone, gravitate towards my phone. I found it a lot easier. I could do it in public. I could do it in the taxi without needing to, need a surface to write. So that surprised me. And the next trip I have coming up is Japan in October, which is in 6 weeks. And I'm not sure that I will travel journal in the same way because it's a different kind of trip. It's a different kind of, like, we're just doing different things. And while Bali was much more relaxed and I thought I would have way more time, I mean, I did have time. I'm saying it wrong. I thought I would have way more, what's the word? I thought I just would want to journal more. I was just gloriously lazing by the pool. It was perfect. I gave myself so much space to do nothing, including journaling. And so I guess we should go into it. So this, I don't regret bringing this because, again, it's so light and it's so nice to be able to, have it here as an option. But I didn't use this as much as I thought. And I mean, I didn't use this at all. And I've just used it to like wedge in some receipts and ephemera that I will put in my travel journal. Did not need this extra notebook at all. Will I still want it in Japan? I'm not sure. The difference is with this trip is that Bali, I only had carry-on, so I had to be really careful about the extra things that I brought. In Japan, I probably will buy lots of inserts, like stocking up at the Travelers Company factory. And so I think I will just buy an insert there and write there if I need to, but I didn't actually need this for the trip. And so I thought I would. If you remember in the last video, I thought I would... Oh, I did this, I think right before I left, maybe. Did I do this before in the video? I can't remember. But I thought I would do this a lot in Bali. So I thought I would leave a blank page for the photo. If you can see there, just kind of wrote in pencil what photo I wanted to put there. And of course I can change that, but it was just for me to jog my memory, make it easier. And so this was the plan. Photo and some text, and then photo and some text, double spread of photos, and then back to a photo and some text. And then what I realized was, do I even care about this? Do I need this much detail about my day? And like, I would only do this if I enjoyed the process of it. But I feel like at the time, it felt like I had to fill it up. And then I realized like the photos are kind of self-explanatory. I didn't need it in this much detail, I don't think. Like, I'm just complaining about the flight here, that I was surrounded by absolutely screaming babies, which was totally fine because, I mean, it was a daytime flight, so it's not like I was trying to sleep, but I prefer that over someone kicking my chair. So, I mean, it was a very overstimulating flight in terms of my hearing. But it wasn't the worst. Like, it wasn't the worst flight that I've been on. And I just feel like this is not necessary. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do this. I'm just saying I don't need to do this. I didn't feel the need to do this, and I didn't particularly like doing it at the time. And so what I realized was that right after this, after this, I clearly kept going. So there was an afternoon where I just caught up on some journaling, but I felt like the photos did enough. And so what I'm going to do is just have, I did write more, is just have photos. I'm not going to follow this layout. And what I'm going to do for the rest of the journal is stick a photo down and write a caption. I think that's all I need to write. And I know this sounds really obvious, but again, I tend to overwrite. And if you saw my past travel journals, you're not surprised, but I just need to learn how to be a bit more brief and fight the fear that I'm missing out on memories. Because again, just type it into Notion if you really don't want to like forget a memory. but it doesn't necessarily have to be my travel journal. And this is very new for me because with like my life archives, for example, I'm very used to writing a lot attached to a photo, and I'm still easing into just like letting the photos shine. And so this was a really interesting experience for me, adjusting to that. And so what I've done last night and this morning, I have imported my photos into Canva. So I just created the frame. They're all kind of the standard size, I believe. This is 6 by 8, I'm guessing. But I sized it in a way that it wouldn't take up the entire page like I had planned initially, but that it leaves a little bit of a gap at the bottom so I can write a caption. And so I think I want to do something similar for Japan. And it's not like I have to choose one or the other. I need to stop rambling because this is going to take way too long, because what I want to do is I'm going to cut all this up off camera because I think that's really boring for you to watch, and then I'm going to stick this in my journal. So this is 7 pages of photos, which is way more than I thought I would have, and they're just really candid moments, mostly of food. There's like a whole page of just like the sunset, but I printed this on the back of scrap paper as always, and I think they turned out great. I think the quality looks really good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all these up, and then I'm going to come back, and then we're going to stick it in my journal. Again, I do have some ephemera that I collected from the trip. I wasn't going out of my way to collect it, but this was from one of the restaurants. I ripped this off a coffee cup, inspired by Jane the Crazy, of course. She rips up her food packaging, and I just find that so inspiring. So I did that. Ticket stubs from the flight. My husband stole me the coaster from the coffee place, which was great as well. Some receipts, and I don't think I'm going to put them all in, but we'll see. I'll just play around the layout. I'll just have some fun. But yeah, it's been a week, so I feel like it's still kind of fresh in my memory. The ASMR of this is so nice because it's such a thick cardboard. I ripped this off the coffee cup. I've never done that before, and that was really fun. So I do have some ephemera. I have some more in a bag somewhere. It's all in here, just a bunch of receipts mostly, and there's like chopsticks packaging from a restaurant we went to. The thing I learnt very quickly was that I needed a pouch for receipts and ephemera, and it was just everywhere. I just kind of threw it in my bag, and this trip I didn't have anything like that. I didn't really plan for it. I think for Japan, because I'm going to buy the cover for the first time, Traveler's Notebook cover, Traveler's Company, I don't know the terms, I'm sorry, but the olive cover, I really want a TN olive cover, and I will buy the kind of zip pocket insert, so I feel like that will solve that problem. But that was kind of good to know that, like, oh, I was really struggling carrying around all that ephemera. So I'm going to cut this now with my rotary cutter, which I do not recommend. It's so bulky, but let me put this out of the way. And I will be back with the magic of editing in a second. I finally finished that. It took so long. That took way longer than I thought. Definitely good idea not doing that on camera. I think this is everything. There's just paper everywhere because I just kind of put it on my table as I cut. I believe that's everything. I'm actually surprised how many photos that I took and put in, like, and planning to put into my, I'm trying to find my insert. Where is my insert? Here. That I'm planning to put into here because it was only a 9-day trip. And I'm usually, like, when my husband and I go on holiday, it's usually 3 weeks. We prefer to do longer because it's just, it feels like you're getting more value out of your flight because flight is a big cost of the trip as well as accommodation, but just, combining it into one long trip, I'm just kind of overwhelmed with how many photos there are. My fingers are kind of hurting because I was like pressing it down, but some of them are not cut very well, but that's okay. I can adjust it as I go. It is all mixed up, unfortunately, but what I'm going to do now is, I guess, just stick it in and talk about it as I go. I don't know if you care about the actual memories themselves, but I guess if you're just watching this, I'm trying to find my glue tape now. If you're just watching this as a body doubling video, hopefully you just enjoy my rambling in the background. Okay, I found it. I'm using my little one from Daiso. I really like this one for travel. Not that I've ever used it for travel. I wish I brought it with me to Bali because, again, the little ephemera would have been nice to just stick down because it got a little bit out of hand. But again, I've pretty much penciled in what photo I want to stick down, which makes it a lot easier. So for example, here I wrote, well, I crossed it out. It said outfit. Now it says affogato and then croissant. And then I have this from the croissant place, bread yard, that I'm going to... I mean, I like the idea of figuring out the layout when I get back, but also I don't want to overthink it. And I just want to stick it down and work around what I decide to do at the time. Again, still very much a work in progress. But the first one is the mirror selfie. And I remember that it's with our airport bags right before we leave for the airport. If only I cut them in a nice organized way, but we are working with what we've got. Okay, this is really out of hand, but it's kind of nice to see such an explosion of photos. And yeah, so what I'm thinking with this travel journal is that it's just getting the photos off my camera roll, essentially, and this will be the analog version of my camera roll because how often am I going to... I mean, I say that, but I do look back at my travel photos. It's just a nice way to flip through it. So I'm going to ideally put that there and, you know, scribble something. I don't think I need to write like a caption. I already kind of wrote it here, so I might just actually stick this in the middle and try to make that centered. I did leave a gap, if you notice, above the text because I wanted to like date stamp it. I don't want to worry about that right now, so I will do that later. But first photo down. I think my neighbor is doing something. I can just hear really loud bangs. I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background, but this was while we're waiting for the taxi to get to the airport. We woke up at 3:30 a.m. The taxi was around 4:15. I don't particularly love the really early morning flights. Like 3:30, that's just too disruptive to my sleep, but that's fine. Ticket stubs. This is such a mess. I'm just going to take it out. This is not going to be a tidy journal with me video because I definitely like to make a mess when I'm in the moment. I don't know how much of this I'm going to blur out. I know you're not really supposed to show your ticket stubs because there might be some confidential information, but I will. I think I'm going to stick that down. So our flight actually got delayed. I actually totally forgot about that until I saw these seat numbers. So we were meant to fly out the day before, and it was meant to be a nighttime flight. Actually, I remember now, it was meant to be a nighttime flight, and then I got a call from Jetstar. This number just kept ringing over and over, and I never pick up my phone because like it's always telemarketers, and people that know me know not to call me. So was not picking it up, but it just kept ringing, and so I eventually picked up, and then it was a kind of staff member saying, your flight's been delayed. So I was meant to fly out Sunday night. We ended up flying out Monday morning, but it was even worse because initially she said, you're going to fly out at night still, but like 3 hours later, and you're going to have a layover in Melbourne. So it was meant to be a direct flight from Sydney to Bali. And then she told me it was going to be Sydney to Melbourne, an overnight layover, and then you're going to have another flight in the morning. And I was like really overwhelmed because this has never happened to me before. We've flown with Jetstar many times, which is our budget airline, like really cheap budget airline. And we've never really had any issues, like dozens of times, maybe a dozen times that we've flown, and we haven't had any issues, definitely not a delayed flight like this before. And so I was kind of like shocked, like, wait, you can just totally change our flight like that? Because now I'm going to get to Bali a day later. I've already paid for that night of accommodation. I lose kind of my booked transport, like airport transport from the the airport, transport to the hotel, and it was so stressful, so last minute. It was the day before the flight, and I was super disappointed, anyway, it worked out that I kind of went on live chat afterwards and was like, is there a direct flight? Because I really do not want to have to do a layover and book another hotel in Melbourne. It was just so messy. I did eventually get put on a direct flight the next morning. I still lost that night of accommodation in Bali, but what can you do? I am apparently meant to get a flight voucher with Jetstar, which semi makes up for it. I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm gonna have to contact them for that. But we did get put in like a really nice seat in row 3, so it was really, really close to the front. We like sitting close to the front so we can just exit the plane really quickly. But this was a flight where there were 2 different families surrounding us and 4 kids, and they were just like screaming and crying almost the entire flight. Obviously, I felt so terrible for the parents because they looked really stressed, but it was also really stressful for us. Again, no one was kicking my chair, so it was fine. I'm just thinking what to write here. I feel like I should use glue because I really don't like the way it doesn't fully sit down because I'm not gluing to the edges. But I edited my what I'm planning to bring to Bali video on the plane. My neighbor was like watching me the entire time, which was really awkward, but you couldn't see my face, so that's okay. But I just wish like you can glance. I know you're curious. You can watch. I'm curious. I like to see what people are doing as well. But to watch me almost the entire time I was editing was just so awkward. And I was reading and she was watching me read. And I'm like, this is just, I was in the middle seat as well. And so I have social anxiety. So her watching me was like much more like anxiety inducing than it would be for a normal person, I think. But I pushed through because I was like, I'm not going to let that stop me. I really want to edit on the plane. It was a 8-hour flight. But it was really productive. I got so much reading done and I finished editing the video, which is great. So I'm going to write. This is just on my iPad. Managed to edit a whole video on the plane. I actually really enjoyed the process of editing. Like, it was a simple video. It's not like a studio vlog. Editing a studio vlog would be so difficult on the plane because I'd have to deal with so many different clips. But with a journal clip, like a just top-down view like this, it's just one clip and I need to cut it up or cut out my ums, for example. But I really enjoyed it. Managed to edit a whole video on the plane. Really enjoyed it. Despite my neighbor watching. Okay, so, I mean, that's one line too many, but that's fine. So that's what I'm gonna do, I think, for most of the photos. Just add a quick caption. I don't think I really need anything else because it's self-explanatory. Like, I honestly didn't even need that caption, but that's fine. Herbie plane photo. So because I was in the middle seat, I had actually initially booked a window seat because I wanted to take a photo of my sticker sheet by the window, and I had to wait for my neighbor to get up to go to the toilet, and then I quickly took a photo because it's a Herbie travel sticker sheet for my Patreon, and like it was just the perfect opportunity to take it by the window. So I quickly took that photo. While I already explained it, so I don't need to say it, but yeah, that was funny. I am getting better, again, social anxiety, but I'm getting so much better at taking photos in public and not caring as much. I've always struggled with that for years because I'm a photographer, but I also like to just document little moments, and I feel like people are really judgy when you take photos of your outfit, of your shoes, and I just like those really candid moments. But even this, I felt like someone behind me was like watching me going like, what are you doing? But I like photos. I like to take photos for my journal. And I have glue on my fingers. I refuse to let people's judgment stop me because I will regret it. And I won't see them again. And even if I do, I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm just getting glue everywhere. And it's such an irritating feeling. But I'm glad I got that photo. I have no regrets. I'm really glad I did that. This writing on the page just makes it so much easier. I'm using the lightweight insert, by the way, so it's very, very thin paper, which I like because I think it'll bulk up quite a bit with these photos. Picture in front of villa. My stomach is making so much noise. What time is it? 12:30. It's barely lunchtime. I mean, it is lunchtime. I usually eat around 1, but my stomach is like protesting because it wants to eat, but we're journaling right now. This is what's important. So this is when we just got to the villa, so sweaty and so happy. I have footage from my trip, but I figured that this video would be way too long if I incorporated it into the video like I did with my Japan travel journal. So I don't know if that's the best decision yet, but I am going to make it separate for now and see how that goes, because again, I think this will be way too long otherwise. There is no measurement to this. I'm just kind of sticking it down wherever. I'm just going to write sweaty and happy. Picture of window selfie. So this window selfie might seem silly to a lot of people, but I really like photos like this because it's just, I don't know, it's a mix of photography and like candid photos for me. And it's, you know, not an amazing photo, obviously, but yeah, I really like a mix of these kind of more, let's call them Pinterest style photos. So I will incorporate a bit of these. I don't think this needs a caption. I don't know, I loved all the greenery in this villa. I really, really liked this villa. I don't want to write something for the sake of it, so I think, but it's going to be off center if I don't put it. Okay, I'm just going to have to put it next to it and not write a caption. Is that weird? Like, just writing love this villa just seems so pointless to me. Like, I don't need that caption, but I kind of just want to fill the space. I'm just going to leave it for now. Picture of meal at that's not the name of the place. Oh, it is? La Calita? La Calita? I think it was. So the very first meal we had was a nearby Mexican restaurant. When I went to Bali like 4 years ago, the Mexican food there was like a standout to me. I don't know why, just we don't really get access to much good Mexican in Australia, and if we do, it's really expensive. And so I know it seems weird, but I do love the Mexican food in Bali. If I can find the picture. I don't actually have the picture of a picture of the meal, but I have a picture of the margarita. My husband got a mango margarita and it looked amazing. Oh, there we go. It was right at the top. I mean, this picture is just kind of self-explanatory. I can look at that and remember exactly the moment. It was such a nice place. It was actually quite expensive. It was a bit out of our budget, but we were hungry and tired and so sweaty, and I was just craving Mexican, so it was pretty highly rated, so it's a good place. Did I write already about it? Yes, spicy margarita. Needs no caption. Okay. I might just write at La Calita. I feel like that's not the name, but I'm just gonna write it anyway. I just like how it balances out the photo. Okay, photo of Kevin in the pool. So I couldn't actually swim, unfortunately, in the pool. So all the villas I booked had a private pool, but my leg is burnt. I still have a burn wound and I could not swim because chlorine, and it's still healing. It's an open wound, But that's fine. I was able to watch my husband swim, and I was relaxing by like in the lounges, on the lounges by the pool. It was a super nice pool, and I didn't mind. I dipped my feet in, so it's not the worst. But I'm glad at least he got to swim and enjoy that. We spent a lot of afternoons just kind of resting in the villa, and that was super nice because it was a really nice villa. We had a private pool, and like there's only so much walking around you can do in Bali. It's so hot in the afternoons, and so we did our kind of walking around and exploring in the mornings after breakfast, went back to the villa, and we would either go out for dinner or get Gojek. So around this time is when I discovered Gojek, and I'm sure it's like very well known, but I didn't really know about it. I heard of it, but I didn't understand what it was really. And so I downloaded the app just to test it out, and my mind was blown because it was so cheap. It was so amazing, the food that you could get. Delivery was like $1.50. And so the first thing we got was bubble tea. We have this here in Australia. I don't know how to say it, mixue, but we got bubble tea and ice cream, and it was incredible. And this became a routine over the next week because we just every day was ordering this. I'm not even joking. We ordered this every single day, and it was incredible. It was like $5.50, less than $6 for these two things delivered to our villa. It was incredible, and it only took like half an hour, and so it was so nice being able to eat food. They had local restaurants, like, so we were able to eat local food without the anxiety of visiting a new place. And I know it sounds silly, but I feel like I don't have to explain it. If you're here watching this, you're probably an introvert with some sort of social anxiety or just anxiety in general. It was just a lovely way to enjoy the food without needing to leave our villa sometimes. But then we ordered the very first night. I forgot what they called it. My husband got a mee goreng, of course. We had to have copious amounts of mee goreng and nasi goreng. This is a different kind of noodle. It's like the flat rice noodle. It reminds me of like Thai noodles, which I'm obsessed with, but it was so good. And I think it was, again, like $4 delivered for both of those meals. The portion was on the small side, I've got to say. I definitely would have ordered like 2 instead, but it was so good. We were so obsessed with Gojek by the end of it. There's just so much food you could get. I'm just gonna write mixway. We call it mixway. We don't even know what it's called, how to say it. Gojek dinner. So good. So my lesson learned from this trip is like, you don't need a full page of write. Like, I don't need to write this. I can look at these photos and remember so much. I mean, it's kind of fresh right now, so maybe that's why, but I doubt that I will look back and read all of this, and I will only, like, I won't make myself do it, and I'll only do it if I feel the need to journal. But definitely at the time I was writing all that stuff, I felt like I had to rather than I wanted to. Breakfast. So we got breakfast delivered to the villa, which was a very new experience for Kevin, which was very funny because he's never been to Bali before and never experienced breakfast being delivered to the villa. So I didn't mention, but we were in Seminyak for the first 4 days, the first half of our trip, and then the second half we went to Canggu. Canggu was lovely, definitely more low-key, but we really liked how central Seminyak was, like central to everything. And like our villa too was very, very centrally located. Canggu was actually a little bit expensive, so I couldn't get a really good spot. Mirror selfie. I believe that's the one with me and Kevin in the morning. Was it that one? Oh no, I can't remember. This one. Okay. Yeah, I got a mee goreng for breakfast. It was actually quite good. The juice was a little weird. I know you're not supposed to eat raw fruit in Bali or ice, but we had Travelan, which is a tablet that you take kind of before every meal. We took it before every like risky-ish meal. And I think it worked. I think it worked really well. On the very last day, we ran out of tablets and we both got food poisoning on the very last day. So I feel like it worked really well. And we didn't even eat anything particularly, oh, that's really crooked. Anything particularly risky on the last day. Oh, it's not coming off. Okay, that's crooked. Breakfast at the villa. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. We did get food poisoning and my husband only just recovered from his one. Mine was pretty much done by the time I got back, luckily, because we had to fly to Melbourne pretty much the next, like the day. We had 1 day of rest and then we flew to Melbourne. But that was not very nice. But yeah, we ate a lot of risky stuff, like, yeah, chicken, local restaurants, but we made sure to, you know, wash our hands, made sure we always use sanitizer, hand sanitizer. That's kind of straight enough, I think. I don't think that needs a caption. Does it look weird without a caption, guys? It does, but like, okay, let me just write, just make up something. First day exploring. First day exploring. Oh yes, we went to Bread Yard and had an affogato because it was so hot. I'm not an iced coffee girly normally. I always love my hot coffees, but it is so hot in Bali, which is exactly what I wanted. It's not even as hot as normal. Like, it was only 29 degrees every day, but we were drenched in sweat. As soon as you walk out of the villa, just walk around for a little bit, you're just drenched in sweat. These are not the nicest photos because the lighting was not great, but the actual venue was beautiful. We didn't know how to get into it because it was like a hidden door, but it was so nice. And this is ripped off from the croissant paper. I really wanted a souvenir, so I have the receipt. But I wanted to stick this down. Do I want to do it like this? Or like this? I think I like it this way. Let me see if I can find the receipt. Oh, lucky. Okay. So I have a weird thing with receipts because, not that weird thing. I do hoard my receipts, but I mean, this is probably going to fade, so I don't know what to do about it. I feel like for the really cool receipts, I want to take a photo of it and then, you know, scan that in and print out the receipt. I'm printing it on scrap paper, so it's not like completely wasteful, but yeah, I feel like I've already stuck in some receipts in my life archives and it has faded. I don't know if it's just because like the humidity of my room is a lot higher maybe, or it's not really in the sun, but I don't know. I don't know what to do, because I feel like it will fade eventually, but I guess we can just stick it in for now. Their cafes are like standard price, like in Australia, so it's not like that cheap, but do I want this over? I do, so I want this under. But we got an affogato. It was incredible. And then we already had breakfast. Let me say, this is why we're sharing a coffee. We already had breakfast, so it's not like we were hungry, but I really wanted to try that. Our breakfast didn't come with coffee. I have glue all over my fingers. Our breakfast didn't come with coffee. I need a coffee or I get a headache, unfortunately. But it's fine because I get to try these really amazing cafes in Bali. So we just shared a coffee and got this like flat pistachio croissant, which was actually amazing. And it was like $10.80 for the coffee and the croissant, which is standard price. I'm just gonna stick that there. Sorry, I keep doing this because I'm trying to get the glue off my fingers. Oh, I didn't glue it. I thought I was being clever by like skipping and not gluing the entire way, and that was just a terrible idea. Okay, I really like the way that looks. That's pretty cute. I'm gonna stick that one down. The croissant, they like forgot our croissant, and so I couldn't take a photo of the croissant and the coffee at the same time because I finished the coffee by the time they brought out the croissant. And I will write just affogato, I guess. I'm pretty sure all my photos are crooked. From this angle it looks straight enough. And do I need to? Do I even need this photo? Maybe I don't need this photo. Do I stick it down anyway? What do I do? Trying to do it like a flap situation. I might do it on the bottom. Okay. Not that the back of this photo is very pleasant, but that's okay. I think that's okay. And then I can still see the receipt if I need to. But that is... Oh, I should have written bread yard. Bread yard avocado. Yes, that was delicious. This was meant to be bread yard, but I changed the images I wanted to print out. I think I wanted... What did I do? What did I do? I don't remember. So I will skip that and go to the next page. Sambal chips. Kevin wanted this snack. He wanted to try it. It was actually really good. Sambal chips and lounging by the pool. Sambal chips. And lounging by the pool is not a helpful... I think it was this. Because he fell asleep. And then did I journal that day too? Maybe. Let me... Journaling by the pool. Yes, that's the next one. So this is the two images here. Let me actually pull up my Canva because it is in order. So I printed filler pictures because I did mess up the order and I already had written in there, so I couldn't really kind of push everything forward. I don't know if that makes sense, but this was one filler photo and the other one was the journaling one. Is that right? It's just going to be a filler photo. This makes no sense. I may have to print out another one because I think I miscalculated. But the villa that we stayed at was Bracha Villas and it was lovely. It was actually really, really beautiful and affordable for the central location. No idea what to put there yet. Let's do sambal. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. I actually really enjoyed the villa, much more than our second villa, that's for sure. Do not recommend that second villa, but these are the chips that we had. They were a good level of spice. I actually really enjoyed that. All right, sambal chips. And it was so warm and lovely outside, and so we were just kind of lounging by the pool, and my husband fell asleep because he's a big afternoon napper. I do not afternoon nap, but I was happily reading, so I do not mind, and I love to take selfies while he's sleeping. I don't think that needs a caption. And then journaling by the pool is this one. So that's when I basically wrote all this stuff. All of that writing was done in one session, and that was my only journaling session. And it was more like I felt like I needed to catch up on the journaling. Not like I was forcing myself to, but like I was like, oh, I should probably do that. And it didn't come to me as easily as I thought it would. Like I thought I would want to journal, but I just wanted to read. I really didn't want to do anything else except read. Like I don't regret it at all, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to learn that about myself. And so I think I much prefer this way of journaling where I'm not really writing anything, because I feel like the photos themselves are pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to take this with me to Japan. I'm going to take this concept and learning with me to Japan. And so not focus on the writing so much, because that's a new thing for me. I don't know how to be brief. Why is this blank? Oh no. Selfie. Satay. Oh, I feel like if things are out of order.